Larry K.
Fury fam, it's your boy Larry K. What's up? Good to see you guys back for another Miami Dolphins season. Happy to be with you. We are 1-0, and it's always nice to be 1-0. We are, of course, going to be happy with that on the Phin Addict Fury channel, but we had some struggles. Dolphins winning 20-17 in breathtaking, nail-biting fashion, going down to the wire, kicking a field goal. Jason Sanders, 52-yarder with the seconds winding down on the clock. Great way to go out in week one when it was beautiful fall day, most of this country, a little hot down in Miami. Playing another Florida team, albeit in North Florida, you don't get the same advantages that you usually get when you're playing a team that's not used to that heat. Nonetheless, it occurred. Shake Money's in the building. Greg is in the building. We are going to be back with you guys tomorrow for the live show tomorrow night. But we are here. And by the way, you see Shake Money's got a little logo next to his name. That's because he's a member of Fury Fam, an official Fury Fam member. Click the join button. If you want to become an official member, you get behind the scenes videos. You get the pilot episode of In the Blender with Shake. I'll take you on tours around my neighborhood. Let you know what I'm doing. Give you a little intimate talks, fireside chats about the Dolphins from the privacy of different angles and different places rather than just this studio view. And it's worth the money. So if you want to become a member and help the channel continue to grow, that's why I'm not always on here. I got so many other things I got to do to keep this thing afloat. But the more support we get for this channel, the more I can be present on this channel for you guys. Click join to become a Fury Fam member. It's much appreciated. Shout out to all the members. And by the way, you get preferential treatment. You get your comments thrown up here a little bit longer. When we have a panel show, you get preference in the panel to come up and join the panel before other people, and I give you a little bit of perk in that regard. You can read more about becoming a member on the member page. But the least you can do if you're in here watching me and you're a Dolphins fan and you like objective, legitimate Dolphins content is to smash that subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button. It's right here. I'll wait. I'll give you a second. I'll give you a second to hit the subscribe button. Just click subscribe. Just click this button. Click subscribe. Let's get to 2,000 views. I mean, how are we going to get through the season if we can't get to 2,000 subscribers? Let's get to 2,000 subscribers. Let's go. Click the like button on this video so we can get more people in this room. Click the like button and let's roll, man. Fins up. Fins are 1-0, and I can't get more likes. I can't get more subscribers. Click subscribe right now if you haven't already. Click the like button. Join Fury Fam and become a monthly member. Let's get this season going, man. Let's get it going. And we got Adam Sadowski, another Fury Fam official member in here. Fins up, y'all. Great win. He's got the hurricane. He's got the stork. He's fighting. He's ready to go. My boy Adam is always in the building. That's my dude. A Fury Fam member officially. Join him and join the show by becoming a member. Click subscribe. Click like. We're going to get rolling. Just click. It's right. Just click it. Click the subscribe button. What else do I got to do to get you to click the subscribe button? What do I have to do to get you to click it? What do we have to do to get to 2,000 subscribers here? Are we not a hardworking channel? We got content. We got Shake. We got me. My day job. My other podcast. I'm still here talking Fins, man. We keep it real on this channel. You're getting something on this channel. You don't get it every other channel. So click subscribe. Get us to 2,000. Click subscribe. Thank you for clicking subscribe. So, on the strength of a Jason Sanders field goal with Jason Sanders, man, remember a few years ago when the guy was automatic? Remember a few years ago when the guy did not ever miss? I miss those days. Sanders just completely shanks a field goal earlier in the game that made us kind of bite our nails a little bit towards the end of that game. I got to be honest with you. Let's take it from the top. Anthony, what's good, my bro? Good to see you. Good to see you. Let's take it from the top here, okay? Mike McDaniel's play calling. I didn't love Mike McDaniel's play calling from jump. I just didn't. I thought it was too much of the Adam Gase nonsense with the horizontal play call. Phil, another member of Fury Fam, another official member. We appreciate you. We appreciate your comments. We appreciate your listenership. We appreciate everything about you, my brother. And we appreciate you being an official member of Fury Fam. You're right. Perfect on game winners. You can't argue with that. I like the guy. I mean, he's got a hell of a leg. He'll kick a game winner from 52 yards, and it didn't even look hard. Even after trying to ice him with the timeout, didn't look hard. But then again, sometimes he misses them. He was much better last year, so I'm not willing to give up just because of one missed kick, especially when he kicks the game winner yesterday. But it was just annoying to see him shank that kick early in the game. But let's get back to Adam. Oh, I meant Mike McDaniel. I was about to call him Adam Gase. I mean, what are we doing? What are we doing with these horizontal screen passes every play? I can't take it. I understand, and I don't claim to be in the room, right? I don't claim to be in the room, and I don't claim to be part of the game plan or understanding the deficiencies and the strengths of this team at the level of analysts and people like Mike McDaniel. But I don't know what it was where he was consistently trying to get that screen game to work. Now, to his credit, it did work in certain aspects, right? Achane gets out there early on and he gets a big chunk of yards. It's probably the best play we had early in the game was Achane getting out there and getting those yards. But I just don't love the screen game consistently and constantly. I think it'll work sometimes, especially with the speed we have on the perimeter, but it only works if you got guys that are going to pull and get out there in front and block really well, and you can get it out and the timing's correct. And I thought that yesterday it didn't look like the timing was so wonderful on the screen passes. Q, what's up, my bro? Anthony says, Larry, is there a possibility Jason Sanders experienced some stuff last year where fans took it to the extreme, sending him death threats for missing kicks in the back of his mind? I think that could be in his mind. But I'll tell you, I think he kind of gotten over that last year. So I wouldn't put that so much on his mind this year. I think he got over it a lot last year. I think that one shank hopefully is not the norm for this season because he did much better last year than the previous season where I thought they might change out kickers. He was kind of back to his consistent self. Marco, what's good, my bro? Guys, if you're in here, click like. At the bare minimum, click like to get in here. Click the like button. Let's get this video percolating, circulating, and getting people in here. Click the subscribe button if you haven't done so. It's just click the subscribe button. Let's get to 2,000. Let's go. But McDaniel seemed like he was suffering where he consistently was calling these screen passes. And I'm going to venture to guess when it comes to the play calling, which let's just talk about it overall. I'm getting into it with the segue, the play calling, but the offense looked like it was stuck in the mud for most of that game. The offense looked like it was functioning in quicksand for most of that game. And I'm going to attribute it to the fact that I believe Jacksonville was trying to clog up the middle of the field, take away Tua's first read, drop guys into coverage in the middle of the field to thwart our middle of the field passing game. And EMT, I don't think we need an offensive tackle. I think we probably need 2 offensive guards and maybe an offensive center. I'll tell you that. I don't think we need a tackle, but I think we need every other position on that line. Yeah. I think they were taking away the middle of the field. Last year, it just seemed like we were off to the races. Every time Tua dropped back, he had an eye on where the ball was going. Guys were flying open, and it was a fast, rapid-paced offense. But I think what people are also missing, you want to look at why aren't we throwing the ball in the middle of the field all the time? Why are we throwing all these screen passes? Well, let me tell you what we were missing probably even more than that. That I think a lot of pundits and commentators on this team consistently try to miss or don't try to miss, but do miss, right? It's that our running game between the tackles was severely lacking and was stuck in the mud, let alone our passing game. And Phil, Fury fan member, you're highlighted pretty regularly. I thought they looked like they showed up expecting to win and were flat as can be. Now, Tua said that in his post game. He said, he kind of alluded to the fact, hey, maybe we thought these guys are going to give up. We're going to just go out there. We're going to swag on them, and it's going to be easy. And it wasn't, so we had to get our heads out of our ass. And that's basically what Tua said. We had to get our heads out of our ass, and we had to get out there, and we had to play. There's something to be said for that, but if you look at it from more than just a swag, more than just a confidence standpoint, we couldn't run the ball. It was tough sledding in between the tackles there. It was tough sledding almost everywhere for the majority of the game in the running game. And it was tough sledding in the passing game in the middle of the field. And I think that that's no surprise because I think that the interior of the offensive line, I just don't think that the interior of the offensive line is as good as it was for the first half of last season. And I don't think there's much you can argue about with that. Now, by the end of the season, does this interior offensive line get healthier? Does Wynn come back and make a difference? Do guys find their groove and their chemistry with each other? Do running backs find their creases within these new personnel? And does the team find its rhythm as the passing game maybe opens up the running game, although you like to see that in the reverse sometimes? That remains to be seen. But as of right now, week one, I have to say that if you look at the guys on paper, you go from Connor at center, to Brewer at center. You go from Wynn to Eichenberg. You go from Hunt to Jones. And as of right now, that interior, those guys were, aside from Brewer, who we brought in, who was not, according to most metrics, one of the best centers in the league last year. The other two guards that we have were backup guards for us last year, decisively backup guards who performed nobly, who performed admirably when we called upon them last year, but they were backup guards. And now there are starting guards. And there was a center that I don't think is as good as Connor Williams, who's now our starting center, who also was banged up in the offseason. And I just don't think you saw the creases and the ability to run between the tackles that you saw last year. And it was underrated last year because everybody wants to talk about the quarterback, and that's the kind of league we're in. Everybody wants to talk about the glitz and the glamour of Tua throwing downfield and these excellent wide receivers we have on the boundary and Tyreek Hill chasing 2,000 yards and all of those things. But one of the main things that makes an offense function, and I've been saying this since my preview of the season, one of the main things that gets an offense going is the offensive line in the trenches. And if you're not running the ball effectively, it's going to affect your ability to pass the ball. If they are getting sufficient pressure with their front four to stop the run game, and then their interior linebacker play to stop the run game, and slow you down without having to commit much more to stop the run game, then they're going to be able to have more guys drop back into coverage in the middle of the field, which is going to confuse Tua in his ability to squeeze the ball into those slant routes and things that we took for granted last year. So everything has an effect on the offense. And I just thought that it looks like, as of right now, and let's hope he's being vanilla, let's hope he's saving it for Buffalo because we're on a short week against a division rival who has consistently owned us. Let's hope McDaniel has some rhyme or reason, or at least that the coaches are huddled up right now as we speak in the meeting room looking at the film and trying to draw up some counterpunch to what's going on out there. Because towards the end of last season, it looked like McDaniel had kind of run out of steam. He had run out of innovation. He had run out of crazy, cool, quirky ways to try to beat a defense. And it looked like teams had kind of understood how he was going to try to attack them. Teams understood how Tua was going to try to attack them, given Tua's skill set and our receiver skill set, and they had figured out ways to try to slow us down. And yesterday, I wasn't necessarily inspired by what I saw in the play calling or the offensive output to lead me to believe that we had elevated yet another step in this continued innovation of the offensive scheme of this team. I just didn't see it. Now, hopefully he's saving it. But it looked to me like we were a team that had okay interior offensive line play, not great, which hurt our running game, and then which, because of that, made it difficult for us to attack the middle of the field the way we wanted to attack the middle of the field, and made us have to resort to throwing screen passes to the outside. And Cap, what's up, my brother? Always great to see you, Cap, for life. What's good, bro? Fins up. Guys, make sure you're clicking subscribe and join. Become a Fury Fan member, man. Join. The super chats are open too. I'll answer any questions. Donations are always appreciated on this channel. But look, you got to understand that throwing the ball outside, on a screen, is almost an extension of the running game, right? It's not a pitch to the outside, it's not a handoff up the middle, but you're putting the ball into a playmaker's hands behind the line of scrimmage. And you're putting a ball into a playmaker's hands behind the line of scrimmage because it's almost an extension of your running game. And you're going to use that in two situations, right? One situation you're going to use it on is when you cannot get any traction between the tackles running the ball, and you're trying to find some way to get the ball into the hands of your playmakers behind the line of scrimmage to make things happen in space where it's not so clogged up. The other time you're going to use that is when you just have an absolute matchup problem on the perimeter and you want to exploit that on the perimeter to get them to, just capitalize on a weakness of the defense. And I thought what I saw yesterday, despite the fact that we have so many talented players on the perimeter, what I saw was a team who couldn't get anything going between the tackles and therefore needed to rely on the perimeter, passing screen game to try to make something happen from behind the line of scrimmage. That doesn't bode well for the next few weeks. And so I hope they get it cleaned up. And that's just something that I'm recognizing and I'm realizing. I'm not going to pull any punches. That's why you tune into this channel, right? You tune into this channel because I'm excited about the win. I'm hyped that we're 1-0. But I'm going to talk about what I saw and what we all saw and not sugarcoat it or gloss over it or try to pretend it didn't happen. Duval says, I don't know what type of dark voodoo or what God do you pray to, but you were absolutely saved yesterday and you should be thanking your lucky stars. Well, I think, and then Duval says, he's looking forward to watching us crumble for the rest of the season. And that's some sad stuff, Duval. I don't know why Duval's got to come in here and First Coast up here. He's on the First Coast. You can go down the, riverside and you could look at the water. You could go to some bars down there. You could do so many things on a Monday, but you want to come in here and you want to say that you hope we crumble the rest of the season. I mean, that is just very, very mean. Dolphins are out there swimming, and you got to take care of those Jaguars down South America, man. I mean, there was a football game down there this weekend, but I don't know. I don't know why you want us to crumble, sir. I wish you well. I wish you and Sunshine Quarterback well. What happened was, I think, in that game is that our defense tightened up. And our offense made just enough plays to win the game. And I also think that football takes on a story of its own every game. And we just had certain plays that really turned the tide of the game that could have gone the complete opposite direction, right? Could have gone the complete opposite direction. So when you're looking at a game like that where it doesn't even really look close. But let's be honest too, right? On another level. The game was always pretty close, right? It wasn't like the Jaguars weren't just outright lining up and kicking the crap out of Miami for most of the game. That's a mischaracterization of what happened. What really happened was it was a relatively even game. Neither team was great on offense. Neither team could really drive home and finish drives consistently. And neither team was wonderful on defense. But the Jaguars were just making plays at the point they needed to get us over the hump and to get themselves ahead. They were connecting when they had to down the stretch. Miami was not. Miami was going for it on fourth down twice and not converting. Miami was punting the ball because they're taking sacks to knock them out of field goal range and knock them out of position to go for it on fourth down. And Jacksonville a few times wound up getting those points. So the game was kind of close from the beginning. I think Miami fans are disappointed because we're used to seeing this high-flying offense. We're healthy. We should be spry. We have all these great talents on offense, and yet we're unable to get it across the finish line and score. And so we were angry, but the game was pretty close. And what happened was an evenly matched game continued to be somewhat evenly matched, but Miami executed on a few game-changing plays, and Miami came through when they needed to on both sides of the football. Now, Carrie D is in the building. Carrie D, one of my favorite Fury Fam members. Again, you see that logo. She's an official Fury Fam member. You guys can join her and become an official Fury Fam member. She keeps this thing flowing. She keeps gas in my tank, and I love it. I love hearing from Carrie D. Carrie D on this beautiful Monday chimes in. Thank you so much for the donation. Much appreciated, Carrie. Always, anybody who donates, I appreciate it so darn much. I mean, all the work that goes into even sitting down, taking the time out of medical issues, work issues, etc., to sit down and talk to you guys about the Dolphins. Any little bit helps, and is just keeps going. That, like, you know what, this is appreciated here, and so I appreciate you a lot, Carrie. Carrie says, just taking a break from work and saying hi. Here's to celebrate the win donation. Glad to be here for the full season with the Phin Fury family. Carrie, we are so glad to have you a part of the Phin Fury family. You are a bona fide member of Fury Fam, and we always love hearing from you. I hope you're enjoying the win out there. I hope you're, basking in the glory of a win. It's so much better to go about your week when you win rather than when you lose. So I am so happy that the Dolphins pulled out this victory. It's great to see. And now we're talking about what we can do to ensure that we have more wins as the season goes on and we continue to do well. Phil says, Anthony, talking to Anthony, and I'll let him kind of go, but he's just saying Greer wants athletic guards who will complement the outside zone. I honestly don't think the team really cares about running between the tackles. I don't agree with that philosophy, by the way. And Anthony says, Phil, I understand that, but we're not spending money for the top guys on the interior that fit the scheme. I think there's a lot to be said for what Phil just said. And my thing is, what bothers me about this team, and it's bothered me since the days of Tony Sparano, whenever we have a winning offensive line that's doing well, we want to somehow shuffle that line and shuffle this guard and move this guard to tackle and switch out our centers. And we consistently want to screw up a good thing. And they never heard on this franchise of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We're constantly trying to fix this offensive line when it's already working. Adam Gase did it. What were we running? Outside zone. And then we start switching to inside, and we go from one year to the next and just completely crumble. And when our running game was destroying everybody, it gets tiresome. Last year, we had a offensive line that was absolutely dominant early in the year. Absolutely dominant. And it showed. We were a dominant offense. And we roll into this year with much less, much more underwhelming guys. And now you're seeing what that causes. But that game was a story of making plays when you needed to, in kind of a quicksand, fighting through the mud, rock fight type, messy, slow, agonizing type game. And Javon Holland, that's a 14-point swing, right? Javon Holland comes in. He punches the ball out of Etienne's hand as Etienne's running into the end zone. Now, that would have made the game 24-7. And instead, on the very next play, Tua puts a perfect ball on Tyreek Hill. Tyreek goes the distance, beats two defenders, tiptoes on the sideline. That's the type of big play that big-time playmakers make. And it's a 14-point swing, and all of a sudden, we're in the game. And once we got in the game, I will say that on both sides of the ball, the team woke up and showed up. And I thought that the offensive line towards the end of the game, even on the interior, was getting much better push. And when you got Jeff Wilson in there and he was able to find the groove in the hole and run a little tougher between those tackles, we were able to get tough yards when we needed them. You even had the Ingold handoff with the fullback. I love fullbacks. I hope we use them more. I love fullback runs. I think it's an underutilized, underdone part of today's game. So I always love seeing that happen. And I love to see Ingold in there. And I loved to see what we got from our team down the stretch. And I think it was just the story of a team coming through in the end. But here's my thing too, right? The defense was, I'll tell you this, I was underwhelmed. I was underwhelmed with the offense. There's no way to put it other than that. I get that Tyreek got his huge play. Tyreek is expected to get one of those plays a game. I mean, that's the kind of player he is. That's the salary he's getting paid. That's the type of superstar, A-list celebrity talent that we have on this team. I expect him to get that touchdown. I expect Jalen Waddle to make the deep catch that he did. I expect those things. I expect Tua to put up at least the stats he did. Maybe not that many yards every game, but he's 23 of 37 for 338 yards, one touchdown, no interceptions. That's right around. You're going to pay the dude the bag, as everybody likes to say, over $50 million. I mean, I expect those things. And it was just enough for us to win the game. just enough for us to win the game. But overall, when you've got that much talent and you're hyping the quarterback in the wideouts that much, and you bring in Janu Smith, who the tight ends had a terrible game. Smythe, penalties, dropping the ball. Smith out there, sometimes I saw him out there in the screen passes blocking, but underwhelming for all the hype that we got. When you have all that fanfare, I expect much more out of the offense. And if the offensive line is going to slow down this team that much, then that's an indictment on the front office, and that's an indictment on Mike McDaniel. Now, we're going to see what happens for the rest of the season. This isn't me saying that this is the whole season, but this is a legitimate, honest take on this thing. A legitimate, honest take on this thing. And I was underwhelmed with the offense. Underwhelmed. But let's talk about the defense. Let's talk about the defense, right? Because I'm critical of the fact that Van Ginkel was let go. Now, I don't know if Van Ginkel wanted to go home. It seemed like he wanted to go home. He went back to the Vikings. It seemed like he had one foot out the door before last year. I don't know what his salary demand would have been that would have kept him here. I didn't like that Wilkins walked. But Wilkins was asking a ton of money, so I understand how hard it was to keep him. But you revamp the interior line a little bit. Calais Campbell goes in there, gets a big play early, makes his presence felt. Long, I think, had another solid game, except when the two guys went for one gap. You get Barrett in here, but then he leaves. I think I'm still critical of letting Van Ginkel go. And you see Van Ginkel, he has an awesome interception against the Giants, grabs the ball, snags it right out of the air, and runs into the end zone and just makes a huge statement in that game. And that's the type of player he is. We're going to need guys not just to be solid on defense, but to make those types of game-changing plays. We had it with Javon Holland. Javon Holland changed the game by punching that ball out. That's a 14-point swing. Javon Holland changed the game. And the thing is, Javon Holland's asking for a lot of money. Now you're going to have to pay him. And you can pay all these. If you pay everybody on the top of your roster, how are you going to have role players? But I will say this. We hold the Jags to 267 total yards. We hold them to 139 yards through the air. They rushed for 128, which I don't think was great. I think we missed that presence of Wilkins in the interior of the line there, stopping the run. And that's going to have to be worked on. But they were 2 of 10, the Jaguars, in third down efficiency, 0 of 1 on fourth down efficiency. We got 3 sacks on them. And how about Jalen Phillips? How about Jalen Phillips? After that injury where I wasn't sure, no one was sure, how quickly he would come back, how efficient or how good he would be once he came back, Jalen Phillips absolutely goes in there and wreaks havoc on a lot of plays, comes away with an enormous sack just on relentless hustle towards the end of the game, just a key moment. I thought the first drive, the Dolphins defense set the tone when they really stopped the Jags in their tracks and wouldn't let them get anywhere. And that was a tone setter. I like Weaver's ability to know who his personnel is, adapt the defense to the flow of the game, adapt the defense to his personnel, adapt the defense to his strengths. And I actually thought that the defense looked promising to me. Now, I understand we had some blown coverages. Ramsey had a great play on that fourth down where he trailed the running back all the way sideline to sideline. You're always going to get hustle from him. He's a superstar player, but he had a couple plays where he was burned. He had a couple plays where he was sucking wind there, and that's not great to see. I don't know about the way we reshuffled our secondary so much. Poyer had that face mask call, and he's getting his cast caught in the guy's helmet. And I don't know. We made so many moves, and I didn't think that every move we made me excited. A lot of moves we made were kind of underwhelming to me. Like, I think on paper, I like last year's team better. So it's hard for me to start getting used to it. But I will say that while I was completely underwhelmed with the offense, just not impressed with the offense, I was impressed and kind of cautiously optimistic about the defense. I liked the coaching. I liked some of the personnel. I was impressed with the way we came out swinging. I was impressed with the impactful plays that were made. But we've got to tighten up in run defense. We've got to tighten up in run defense, and we've got to see, who else in the secondary. Ramsey's got to tighten up in coverage a little bit, and then who else in that secondary is going to really start making teams pay for targeting them and for trying to throw the ball down the field. But overall, if you look at the stats, I mean, it was a decent defensive performance. When you hold an NFL team to 17 points, it's a decent NFL performance. Remember, they didn't score, the Jaguars. They didn't score a single point after the half. Not a single point. Frederick, what's up, my bro? They didn't score a single point after halftime. So I'm cautiously optimistic with the defense. The offense is what it is, and it's going to need work. Looking at some other stats here, Trevor Lawrence, he's another guy who's kind of on that seat. You get paid. You're highly touted. Everybody thinks so highly of you. The guy completed just 12 passes. 12 passes. 162 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Underwhelming game for Trevor. And when Trevor had the ball in his hands, you could blame the line all you want. I give credit to the Dolphins defense. He couldn't do a damn thing with it. When he had the ball in his hands in the fourth quarter, then it was his turn to try to win the game for his team. He didn't do a damn thing with it. So Trevor, underwhelming game for him. Underwhelming game. But the running game was running all over us. Bigsby, 12 carries for 73 yards. He was averaging 6.1 yards a carry. 6.1 yards a carry. ETN, 12 carries, 44 yards, averaging 3.7. There was too many times that I saw a Jaguars running back get the ball on a straight line run between the tackles, run off guard, and get 5 yards and get taken down by a safety or a linebacker in pursuit. And I didn't love that. That's got to be cleaned up. Dolphins, Jeff Wilson, 5 carries, 26 yards, averaging 5.2 a carry. Achan, 10 carries for 24 yards, only 2.4. Tua got out there and he ran a little bit. I don't want to see him run all the time. I really don't. But he got out there and he ran when he had to. And, he shed the weight. This is going to be the ongoing, do you gain weight, do you lose weight? Do you gain weight, do you lose weight with Tua to stay healthy? I thought he made good decisions, though. One thing about Tua yesterday, and I'll actually get to Tua in a minute, so let's table that for a second. Waddle, 1 carry for 3 yards. Receiving, Hill, Tyreek, 7 receptions for 130 yards, a touchdown. Waddle, 5 for 109. So when you got Waddle and Tyreek over 100 yards, that's what I expect you to do. That's what I want you to do. I want you to get 100 yards. That's what you're getting paid for. That's what this high-powered offense is supposed to do, and that's what I want to see. Didn't see a whole heck of a lot behind those two guys, and that's another issue. Berrios was underwhelming. He had some drops there. I didn't think anybody else on that receiving core in any way turned heads. I think Craycraft is hurt. OBJ, this another signing. You spend a few million on OBJ. Not saying it's a bad signing because we haven't seen him yet. But just you spend money on them, and everybody's getting hyped because of the names. And Dolphins fans love names, and they love hype in that way. They love those things, but not even on the field. And our third receiver is a glaring deficiency right now. There was nothing after Waddle and Hill. That can change. It needs to change. Not only with the third receiver, but with the tight end. It needs to change if this team wants to go anywhere on offense. And Phil says Jordan Brooks was MIA. That was a big surprise to me. David Long was pretty good, though. Yeah, I mean, Long was pretty good, but Brooks, another one. And this is what I'm saying. This is going to be the story of the season, right? This is going to be the story of the season. And Fury fan member Phil, I'll highlight the comment because it bears discussing. Story of the season is you have one of the best teams in the NFL on paper last year. You have one of the best teams in the NFL on paper, and for a substantial portion of the season last year, a substantial portion, you are a Super Bowl contender and a playoff favorite and the favorite to win the AFC East. And you are dominant in statistics, and you are dominant in the eye test, and you are dominant in so many ways. And towards the end of the year, your defense sustained some serious injuries, yet your defense continues to perform at a decent enough level for you to win big games. And your defense continues to step up despite injuries. And guys like AVG step up and continue to fill voids left by injured players. And you stay formidable on defense. And yet your offense continues from going from a high flying offense to a more and more mediocre offense as time goes on. And everybody wants to just put it on Tua and just say Tua struggles late in the year. And I'm going to get to Tua in a minute. I want to talk about him yesterday. Tua this, Tua that. And it's true. Tua struggles at the end of the year in the cold. And I ain't going to talk about it over and over and over and over and over again. Another thing we saw, though, was while the defense was stacking up injuries last season, and you go from this Super Bowl contender, huge favorite, to this somewhat slightly above average, mediocre team that no one's really that afraid of anymore, losing in the first round, not even winning the division. And while you're stacking up injuries on the defensive side of the ball, the defense has a pipeline that keeps refilling it, and they have a will to win. And despite the injuries, continue to show up every week and put a respectable product on the field. And on the offensive side of the ball, as guys are getting dinged up and guys are going down for the season and people are getting hurt more and more, you see the offense failing to step up in that way. And you see the offense continuing to struggle. Now, you can blame it all you want only on the quarterback. And you can say it's only the quarterback's fault and it's only the fault of Tua. But there's a lot more to that picture, right? The offensive line last year, once Wynn goes down, then Williams goes down. Then Armstead is on and off playing. And then Eichenberg is switching to center. And then you got Jones coming in. And then Jones gets dinged up. And all these other things. As these guys keep getting hurt more and more and more, the offensive output goes down. The offensive output struggles. So the story of this season is, what does the front office do about those things after the 2023 season and before the 2024 season? The front office goes out and they completely revamp the defense. They let Wilkins walk. They let AVG walk. They revamp like half the secondary. They bring in Brooks. They bring in Barrett. They bring in Campbell. They bring in all these guys to try to make up for it. They fire the defensive coordinator. Most of his staff is gone. Some of those guys have been mainstays since the Flores era. They bring in a new staff, and they completely revamp the defense. But then on the offensive side of the ball, they let backups from last year become starters on the offensive line. Backups from last year become starters on the offensive line. And then they go out and get luxury type picks. We want a little bit of a better, more complete tight end. We're going to get Jonnu Smith. We want a big name, super high upside, lower, higher floor, big name, glitzy and glamoury guy at wide receiver 3 in OBJ. We're not really going to address the bread and butter of the offensive line. We're not going to bother re-signing Hunt, who's probably our best younger lineman who we drafted. We're going to let him walk. We're going to kind of be content and get some nice little luxury picks on the offense. That's going to be the story of this season. When you had one of the best teams on paper last year who fell just short, and there's a lot of reasons for it, and then you went out and you decided to let some guys go and you decided to bring other guys on. That's the story of the season, and it's going to be interesting to see it play out because, like Phil said, you didn't see Brooks. So how do these signings work out? Were they the right decisions? Is this team better, the same, or worse? Is this team more battle-tested now so they don't look as pretty when they do it? They don't look as glamorous, but they still win games? They still get to the promised land? Or does this team take a step back? The story's going to be in those signings and how these guys pan out one way or another. Dolphinier, what's good? Miami Kid J, what's good? These things are going to play out. And I didn't see a wide receiver 3 out there. I know OBJ's hurt, but that's part of it too, man. Keep signing hurt players. Injury-prone guys, older guys. Got out of there relatively healthy. But let's talk about Tua Tagovailoa, all right? So 23 of 37 for 338 yards and a touchdown, no interceptions. I expect that performance out of somebody getting the bag. I expect that performance out of somebody who is consistently, we are being told, is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I expect that from him with all his fanfare, high draft pick. I expect those numbers. Here's what I will say. There was one pass that was really bad, almost was intercepted. It wasn't intercepted. Other than that, there were some big misses from Tua. He missed Hill downfield for what might have been a touchdown. He missed a couple other throws that I thought the plays were there. And Revo, what's good, my bro? Cap, thanks for the love, my bro. I'm just keeping it real. That's what I do on this channel. If you guys are watching, you haven't clicked subscribe yet, the button's right. I'm going to pause a second so you can click subscribe. Just click it right here. Celebrate the Finns win by clicking subscribe. I keep it real on this channel. I'm not going to have the most viewers. I'm not going to have the most glitz and glamour. I'm not going to have the biggest panels with all the clicks and all the discussions and all the back and forth and inside jokes. But I'm going to be somebody that after a Dolphins game, or even before a Dolphins game, during the week, you can tune into this channel and you can get legitimate football talk and legitimate conversation about your Miami Dolphins. And I'm doing it as a side hustle just because I love this team and I love you guys and I love Fury fam. So any subscriptions, if you subscribe, helps me keep it going. Becoming a member of the channel for less than a cup of coffee per month, less than 1 cup of coffee per month helps so much. And donations and all those things, hitting the like button, they all help me keep going. So I appreciate you guys. But I expect those things out of Tua. I expect those things out of Tua. I think he missed some guys. I think when it came down to it towards the end of the game, he did what he needed to do to win the game. But nothing's changed in the sense that I didn't see a quarterback out there who at any point in the game, other than a few nice scrambles that were well placed. And I will say that I think Tua's vision for as far as knowing when to scramble and also when to get down and how far he can scramble has taken a huge leap forward. I didn't see him trying to prove something by absorbing a hit he shouldn't have absorbed. I didn't see him taking off into the face of guys and then just getting taken down. When he was sacked, you know, he was caught from behind, but there was a lot of green in front of him. So I still think that was the right decision. That was just an unfortunate play. I thought Tua's vision and maturity was much improved in terms of Jacksonville was taking away a lot of the things he wanted to do. And they were taking away a lot of things post-snap. And Tua was able, you could see it on his face, to drop back, get a quick assessment of what the defense was doing, and realize that he couldn't make a throw where he wanted it to go. And instead of forcing it into double coverage, triple coverage, instead of making a mistake, instead of, you know, throwing the ball and misplacing it and tossing a play away, Tua was able to find an outlet. He was able to find an outlet in the flat, find an outlet elsewhere, and keep the offense running and live to fight another day. So I thought in terms of his decision-making, reading the field post-snap, and knowing when to take off and how far he can take off and when to get down, I thought took a tremendous, I wouldn't say tremendous, but a substantial step forward. And I was excited to see that. I want to see more of that from him. But in terms of pinpoint accuracy and in terms of being able to put the team on your shoulders and, you know, dip and dive and find a guy downfield and make some kind of miraculous play, to put the team on your shoulders when it's a low energy game and we're fighting through the mud and we can't do much, I didn't see him put the team on his shoulders to that level and be a huge difference maker in that regard, where he's absolutely, you know, changing the game, or he's even pinpoint accurate like we're used to him seeing within the system. He wasn't even pinpoint accurate within the system. So he played a good game, but it wasn't a really good game, and it certainly wasn't a game-changing game. So there were positives and negatives from Tua's performance. I think it was enough to win, and that's what you want to see. But as we keep saying, and as we always say with the Dolphins and with this quarterback, the rubber's going to meet the road at some point. And you're going to need and you're going to want to see Tua change some plays with that, or at least function at a really high clip in efficiency within the system that he's operating in, one or the other. We didn't see any bonehead mistakes. We saw him reading the field in a tough defensive outing, and that was great, especially when there's rust that you need to shake off, especially when you think it might be easier than it is and you're not expecting to get punched in the mouth. The fact that Tua even sat there and said himself, we got punched in the mouth, we had to get our head out of our ass, and was able to acknowledge that. And by a lot of reports, Tua made a speech at halftime. The fact that he was even able to acknowledge those things and get his head right and win the game is important, but he's going to have to be better overall, because I didn't see this highly efficient machine of a quarterback within the system. And I certainly didn't see this game-changing quarterback operating outside and despite the system, which was underwhelming for a lot of that game. So those two things need to improve. But overall, the stat sheet was impressive. But that's what you expect when you're getting paid that type of money. So I thought Tua had an okay game, an average game. And Steve says, excellent evaluation, Larry. Steve, I appreciate you. I appreciate your hat. It's dope. I like it. I appreciate you joining the show today and listening. Always welcome. Thank you so much for the love. Mitch is in the building. He says, Tua made a huge throw to Waddle to keep the file drive alive, which ultimately got us in field goal range for the win. Trevor, on the other hand, couldn't get his team in field goal range. Yeah, I agree. I said that earlier. Tua outplayed Trevor because when it counted, Tua made it happen. And I agree that, that's what you expect, though. I mean, Waddle's open. Hit him. Waddle's open. The play's there. Make the throw. That's what we expect from a guy getting paid more than $50 million a year to be the franchise quarterback. I expect you to make that throw. I expect you to hit that throw. And you do hit that throw. And I'm happy you hit that throw. I expect that. And I'm glad he did it. And I'm glad he hit Tyreek Hill, who was running. It was a great throw. It was a great execution. And then Tyreek does the rest. He tiptoes on the sideline. He beats two guys. And I thought that was great too. And that's what I expect you to do. That's what I expect you to do. And he did it. So I'm not knocking Tua in any way. But then he missed open guys. He missed Waddle. He missed Hill on other open throws. And he's got to be crisper on that. Maybe that's because of not enough preseason time. There could be all kinds of reasons for it. But it wasn't good enough in my estimation, and it can be better, and I'm hoping that it gets better. And that's all you can ask for. I don't even think I'm hoping. It has to get better. It has to get better. If this team wants to be a legitimate contender and try to win a playoff game, then it has to get better. And I'll tell you, last year it was a show-me season. I thought on paper the team was primed to make a Super Bowl run, and I wanted to see if they could get into the AFC Championship conversation. And it was a show-me season, and they were not able to show me. Now, this year, I'm much more cautious because on paper, I think the team took some steps back from last year. So I'm not in the hater or naysayer bin, and I'm not in the bullish, excited bin. I'm really in the middle right now. I am completely curious, just really curious about how this season turns out and what this team does. And I'm hoping you guys will take the ride with me. When you tune into me every week, you're gonna be taking the ride and seeing where I am in this journey, because I'm going through it completely with no expectations, positively or negatively. I'm just looking to see what happens with this team. And so yesterday was an interesting first step. It has to get better. It has to get better. But there were encouraging signs, and then there were discouraging signs. And we're going to see where everything ends up. And it has to get better, and hopefully it will. And Q asked, what do I think of Lawrence? I think Lawrence is underwhelming so far. I mean, right? I mean, he didn't do anything that was excellent. I thought he was a bit underwhelming, to be honest with you. And Anthony says he looks forward to my episodes every week. Fins up. Anthony, I look forward to you listening every week. I will be here talking. Remember, guys, if you still haven't, I don't know why you haven't, but if you're watching, you still haven't clicked subscribe, can you please, just in honor of the Fins, just because it's a Monday and it's beautiful out, just because, we're all fighting our own battles every day, and we're all Fins fans, and we're all humans in this planet, and we're trying our best. Can you hit subscribe just in the spirit of camaraderie and brotherhood? Hit that subscribe button. Please click subscribe. Let's get me to 2,000 subscriptions. Just for the good of everybody involved with this channel. Hit that subscribe button, please. And Vamos says, salute Larry K. Salute to you, good sir. And Q says, yeah, I didn't expect the Patriots to win. I didn't expect the Patriots to win either. I think that's another tale of a game that goes the way certain big plays go. You get touchdowns called back because of review. You get some struggles late. It's just a weird game. I don't expect the Patriots to be great this year still, but you can't take anything away from them. They win their first game. You got a big game tonight. You got a big game tonight for the Jets. And the Jets are going to be a big rival. And, we got to take care of business Thursday with the Bills because it doesn't get any easier. And it doesn't let up. It starts right now. Max, what up? It starts right now. And Miami Kid Jay says it. Tua has a chance on Thursday to really put all doubts away by playing well against the Bills and winning. Yeah. I mean, this is, I'm not even in the place where, like I said, where I'm always show me or we're this great or we're not great or I don't know who you are, Miami. I don't know who you are anymore, Miami. And that's not a bad thing, and that's not a good thing. I just really don't know. You got to let me know who you are. Let me know who you are. And Thursday's going to go a long way into telling us and showing us or giving us some hint as to who this team is. Who is this team? The Bills are coming to town, man. The Bills have owned us. The Bills have owned us. And the Bills didn't have a wonderful game on Sunday. They had to fight tooth and nail to win that game, and Arizona's doing their best to come back late. Now they got to come down here. They get to avoid the heat, but it's not easy for either team. Everybody's finding their footing. The first 4 weeks of the season, everybody's finding their footing. They're figuring out what works. They're figuring out what doesn't work. Let's face it. This isn't like, 10, 20 years ago where the preseason games, the third game was a legitimate dress rehearsal where guys were doing 2 and 3 a days, where guys were, running at each other full speed, where guys knew who they were and were well-conditioned and ready to go at the start of the season. This is the new NFL where you kind of almost sleepwalk with half shells and shorts and shirts through practices. No one really plays much in the preseason. One of the games is a mini dress rehearsal, maybe for 2 drives. Then you pull them out, but the other team's not even playing full strength. And you're kind of walking through it and doing all these things. It's not the same. So it takes a couple weeks to work out the kinks. It takes a couple weeks to figure out who you are. So we're not going to glean that much until September's kind of winding down. Thus far, it was a rusty game that Miami won. Well, now you got another big game. You got a big game Thursday. What's going to happen? So this week you have tonight you have a big game. Jets 49ers, a big game. And the Jets, it's not an easy one for them. It's not an easy one for them. And this is a big test. The Jets have all this fanfare. Again, I keep talking about on paper. How is everybody on paper? Are people good or bad on paper? What are people looking like on paper? Well, I'll say that the Jets look pretty good on paper, right? And they're promising on paper. But they were promising on paper in some ways last year. I don't know if the head coach is as good as you want them to be. There were still a lot of questions about him. He was primarily retained just because of this promise of Aaron Rodgers and this idea that Aaron Rodgers likes him so much. And the biggest thing that happened last year was Aaron Rodgers didn't play. And that's true. But he was having problems before the Aaron Rodgers acquisition in the first place. Let's see what these Jets are made of. This is the San Francisco 49ers. This is one of the best teams in the league. And they're coming off a deep run. They're one of the best teams in the league. And if the Jets are going to be contenders, let's see what they can do up against the 49ers. The schedule didn't do them a ton of favors. We finished the season at New York here, right? I'm looking at the Meadowlands from my window here. We finish the season at New York. And nothing's going to be easy or guaranteed to us. I know the Patriots won, but I still think this is a 3-team race between the Bills, the Jets, and the Dolphins. And I'm not saying that because I think the Dolphins are so great or they're a shoo into the playoffs. Not like last year. I don't know yet. Talk to me in 2 months. But let's see how the Jets are. Let's see how the Jets stack up against one of the best teams in the league. Because if the Jets do have a quarterback and the Jets did get better on paper and the Jets are a formidable adversary, well, then that just makes it that much harder for the Dolphins. And that makes it that much more vital that we have a good showing on Thursday against the Bills at home. And it makes it that much more vital that we clean up this offense and have a little bit of a better offensive output than we've seen recently. Because we are certainly going to need it. So I'm curious about that. I'm curious about seeing it. I'm excited to watch the game tonight. I'm excited to prep for the game Thursday. You guys will hear from me probably, hopefully Friday, but we'll see. I got a lot going on. Sometime close after that game, you'll obviously hear from me right after the game. I always do my game recap. If you guys don't check me out, make sure that you set your alerts to know when I'm coming on, to check your alerts to know when I release a video, because I do post-game reactions for almost every single game. You'll see a post-game reaction. It gets pretty nuts, gets pretty animated, gets pretty crazy when we lose, but when we win, it's still an objective take, and you get to see me right off the bat in a post-game reaction. So make sure you're getting alerts. If you haven't done so, click the subscribe button, please, and become a member. Seriously, become a member. Think about becoming a member. Click the join button to become an official Fury fan member. There are several different options for you to join. We love our members. Your members get perks, and check out some of those perks. Consider becoming a member and supporting the channel. We're going to see you guys tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, I'm back with Shake. I'm back with Lucci. I think G, he's got his school days out there, but he might make an after-school appearance. So we're back at you tomorrow night live. Make sure you tune in live. We'll be discussing the Dolphins. We'll be discussing this Jets game. We'll have the good, the bad, the ugly with Shake Money. We'll have our segments. You'll hear from all the guys, and we'll have a chance to have a panel so you can come up and express your thoughts on the show and let us know what you think about the Dolphins. Like I said, we are one of those moderate-sized channels. We're not huge. We're not tiny. We're just trying to carve out a little section of Finn's land for objective thinkers and open conversation and articulate sounds. So if you like what you hear, click subscribe and help the channel grow. Until tomorrow night, you guys enjoy the rest of the day. It was a pleasure being with you. You can catch me Mondays, most Mondays, right here on a Phin Addict Fury channel. We are back at it for the season, and I am so excited to be back with you. Fins are 1-0. Let's see where we go from here. Larry K is out.
I know you heard me on the radio flexing. She loved the sound of my voice, it's the best thing. Daydreaming of the jazz all day. Pick up the phone late night with Larry K. I know you heard me on the radio flexing. She loved the sound of my voice, it's the best thing. Daydreaming of the jazz all day. Pick up the phone late night with Larry K.